seconds, recap that slide. All right, so we're diving right into agent attraction basics for, you know, eXp Realty. We just went over one slide, so I'm going to kind of backtrack really quick. It's all about building relationships. That's what agent attraction really is, building rapport quickly. So why revenue share? Because you can build passive income over time and eventually generational wealth. So let's look at some small examples of what revenue share can do for you. If you attract just one average agent, you'll earn between $1,400 and $2,800 per year that you can pay your annual real estate dues with. Okay, that's just one example of one person. You also don't know who that one person is going to then talk to. Okay, and we're all here because somebody told us. So this is not a far-fetched thing, right? We're here because somebody told us about it. All right, so attracting 3 average agents, somewhere between $300–400 a month. That could be a car payment. I don't know, you know, unless you're driving a Porsche. For me, that's a car payment. You know, I keep it simple. I've got a little Honda out front. It's new, but it's not that expensive. Attracting 8 to 12 average agents will earn you anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, pretty steadily. Obviously, it'll go up and down, but it's pretty steady once it gets rolling. Somebody else coming in. Okay. Now, you might say, well, that won't cover my mortgage. Okay, well, then just attract a few more agents and then it will. You know, it is that simple, and it does build up over time. Okay. And, you know, you also, I mean, you can't predict who agents are going to talk to and where they're going to be, which then helps insulate you from an up or down market wherever you are locally. And that's really important about revenue share too, because they can be anywhere. All right, so we're going to take a look at the rev share calculator really quick and go over a scenario. If you've not seen this calculator or any version of it, I really think that this could blow your mind as far as what the opportunity really is. And just so you know, you're in my network. You're in this group, which means you have access to stuff like this. No one else does. Okay, I built these, they're mine, and they're for our group. You're in this group, therefore you have access. All you have to do is call me, text me, email me, send a smoke signal, whatever you need to do. We'll jump on a call. I will do it all for you and go over the numbers. Okay. All right, so let's take a look. We know that there's 7 tiers for revenue share. Okay, so when you bring somebody on and they name you as a sponsor, that's a tier 1. You will get 3.5% of GCI, gross commission income, when that person closes one deal. Okay, so let's just take a really, really easy number, 10,000 GCI. Okay, 10,000 GCI, you would see 350 bucks. Okay, it's that simple. And so as that compounds over time until they cap, it could be a max of $2,800. Okay, that's for somebody who names you as a sponsor. Now, when that person brings somebody over, that's called a tier 2. Okay, and when that person brings somebody on, that's a tier 3, so on and so on for 7 levels. Now, if you don't have at least 5 people in your front line or tier 1, you will still earn what's called expansion share, which is 0.2% on tier 2. But if you do have 5 or more, you will experience exponential plus expansion, which is 4% total. So you still get a little bit, even if you haven't unlocked the tier, but you just won't get the full exponential amounts until you've unlocked that tier. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to run a scenario of, I would say, not a crazy recruiter, just somebody who's sharing the model intentionally with friends. Okay, the agent that we're going to put in this scenario that we're talking to are all average agents doing what NAR says is average, 6 units a year, $300,000 average price point at 2.5% per side. Very, very average agent. Okay. Now, the reason this is average is because, again, across America, this is what NAR says is average. Okay. Now let's take an average agent that over a 3-year business plan, they say, look, I'm going to intentionally talk to 3 to 4 people per year. Okay, 3 to 4 on average. if you were a professional recruiter, you would be fired, because 3 to 4 is not a professional recruiting status, right? So this is just talking to friends, talking to agents as you go about your business. And we're gonna do this for 3 years. So that's gonna be 10 people total. So 3 to 4 per year times 3 years, okay? Now, off those 10 agents, you would receive 3.5% anytime they close a deal for a max of $2,800 total. Okay? But remember, these are all part-timers. So just off of those, you would receive anywhere between 11 and 12 grand a year. It's not bad. I mean, it's free money, so sure, I'll take it. But what happens is, over 3 years, is those 10 agents, they're all gonna talk to 2 agents on average. Some will talk to 10, some will talk to 0. It's just an average. Those 20, they will talk to 2 agents each. And then one more time, those 40 will talk to 2 agents each in a 3-year period. So you brought in 10, and what do they turn into? 150 agents, okay? Now, if you think this sounds far-fetched, I will show you my revenue share dashboard, which is almost exactly this, but in half the time, okay? So this is actually very conservative on how fast it grows. So let's take a look. This person right here, in 3 years work, is pulling in roughly 6 grand a month in passive income for a total of about $73,000 a year, conservatively, okay? That's only 10 agents in a 3-year period. So imagine if you were to bring in 15 or 20 or 25 or 40. The golden ticket here at eXp, the sail off into the sunset number, is really 40, okay? If you can somehow get 40 people in a matter of, even if it takes you 5 or 6 years, okay, 40 people unlocks all of the tiers. The max payments is unlocked at 40. So let's run a scenario of just 20, and let's say that it took you 5 years to get 20 people. What does that look like? Okay, well, first off, in 5 years, they won't double, they're more than double. So let's do 2.5 times, and let's just trail it down, because these people haven't had a chance to really attract too many agents. Okay, so let's say those 20 agents in 5 years turn into 1,100 agents. What does that equal for you in passive income? About 40 grand a month, okay? It gets pretty ridiculous. Now, how much real estate would you have to sell in order to get 40 grand a month? In your market, think about it. This is actually a question. I want you to tell me.
I would say anywhere between 4 and 5 homes a month.
Now, let me ask you a question. So basically 1 closing every week. Is that a lot of work?
Of course, there's a lot of moving parts to that.
A lot of work to close 1 a week, okay? It's possible, absolutely. But guess what? The next year you have to wake up and do it all over again.
Yep.
And I'm not trying to discourage anybody from doing production and selling a lot of houses, not at all. Because actually in production, you will bump into a lot of agents and therefore have a lot of opportunities for agent attraction. Mm-hmm. But I will say, long-term, you will get to the point where you no longer want to do 1 closing every month. And when you bring over an agent, you don't have to close them every single year.
Mm-hmm. And also think about how many investment properties would you need as well to make that each month?
A lot. Absolutely. You'd have to have a lot of doors, and the liability and the maintenance of all those doors. So there's that as well. What I love about this is none of these agents have to join your team. They don't have to be in your local market. They can be literally anywhere in the 19 countries that we're open, and hopefully one day in another country that you'll have a lot more influence in. Not saying any names yet, because I don't know. It could happen one day. All right. So again, that's only 20 agents. What if you do unlock all 7 levels? What does that look like? Over a 5-year period, and this is where things get stupid. I mean, it gets really dumb. 40 agents turns into 2,200 agents over time, and you got 1.5 million basically in passive income every year. And you might think, okay, this is impossible. There's nobody that does this. And that's where you'd be wrong. There are agents, and this is rare, but it does happen. There are agents that make $1 million a month in rev share. That is factual. That does happen. And they have to go move to Puerto Rico because of taxes. Seriously, it's ridiculous. I'm not saying everybody's going to do that. In fact, very few people will ever do that. But I don't need to do that to be work optional. I could get half of that and I would be totally fine. I could get 1/4 of that and I would be totally fine. Okay.
Yeah, but the opportunity is there. If this is,
there.
you know, yeah, if this is something you want to obviously focus on, you know, the sky's the limit, and especially, you know, eXp, you know, kind of ramping up, you know, a 71% or 72% growth over, you know, in 2021. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that doubles this time next year. So, you know, the sky's the limit. And honestly, it really depends on how much energy you want to put into this program to implement this as part of your business besides real estate. But, you know, you guys have every opportunity to take full advantage of this model and, you know, meet or even exceed expectations of what potential revenue share could be for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why we're talking about agent attraction today and going over the basics, is because you put a little bit of time aside each week to talk to an agent. It can turn into something big over time. It won't even slow down your real estate career to do this. In fact, you'll make more connections with agents and therefore potentially more referrals, more collaboration, more masterminding, and grow as an agent. Okay. All right. So step one, and by the way, this is broken down into 10 easy steps, I think. So step one is understand the value of eXp Realty and then understand your value. Okay. And you'll want to create some sort of value proposition. But what's nice is you won't have to do it from scratch because we have a template to give you that covers eXp and then also gives you a spot to add any value that you could offer anybody that comes over to eXp. Okay. So we can send that out. In fact, after this presentation, I'll just make a list of little templates and stuff to send. Okay. And then maybe I'll send them to John Lee or whatever, and he can distribute. Okay. All right. So we're going to create a one-page value proposition. The idea behind that is that we want to understand the model succinctly and concisely and understand bullet points. This is why eXp is so great. This is what I offer. This is what eXp offers. And you never put something on there that you can't actually deliver on. So if you say value prop of eXp is, you know, we have all this tools and technology, a great split, revenue share, stock. And then on the next page, you have your own offering and you say, I'll give you a free Tesla if you join. If you can't make good on that, you can't offer that. Okay. And if you can give a free Tesla, please call me. I would like one. All right. The next part is you want to set expectation and match it with reality. Okay. You never want to set the expectation too high and the reality is down here. So you want to bridge that gap because you will avoid confrontation, dissatisfaction, and you'll create more gratitude and retention if what you're saying is accurate and the expectation is real, right? This is really how it is. And so we're never exaggerating how good, I don't even think you have to, but you don't want to exaggerate how good something is. Because again, we don't want to set unreasonable expectations.
Right.
Okay?
Can I say one thing, Randy?
No. Yes.
So basically, guys, the first slide or the basics right here is know what you're talking about. Really know the ins and outs of eXp, so you can speak confidently about it. And then as you guys start building your rev share, and you really know the ins and outs of eXp and how it works and how the model is so beneficial to agents, is that when you're starting to talk to these agents and you're starting to understand each agent's individual business and whatever they have going on, you're going to be able to listen to that agent, understand their business, and see how their business could maximize inside of the eXp model and how they can relate. So you're going to figure out, all the ins and outs, and you can go, okay, EXP will be really good for you because you can do this with your business and you can go in this direction with your team structure or whatever, however it is. But just knowing EXP, the ins and outs of EXP will really help you communicate with the potential agents that you're going to be talking to, whether they're single agents or team leaders.
100%. Becoming a pro at what you do, just like in real estate. Okay, step number 2 is some form of tracking. Okay, I highly recommend getting a CRM specific for agent attraction of some kind. And I will give you a recommendation on the next slide, but just, you have to be able to track those conversations if you want to take this part of it seriously. Again, just like the buyers and sellers, you're tracking those conversations, you're putting the notes into your CRM. You're asking questions when somebody says that their mother was ill, on one call, you remember to ask them about their mother the next call. Shows that you care, that you were listening, that you took notes. It does make a difference in the long term when, you track that conversation. Okay. Also, having a place where you can send materials, text messages, and emails, I think is extremely, extremely good. Again, it doesn't take much to implement a system. Okay. You just want to try to get it off of your cell phone and into some sort of system. I do recommend CRM Grow. It works. It is already built out specifically for eXp Realty attraction, but you do not have to use CRM Grow. You could use KV Core, you could use Trello, you could use a spreadsheet. Whatever your system is, it needs to work for you, and you need to understand it and use it. Okay. So what's the saying? The system only works if you work the system. If you're interested in CRM Grow, I have this link, happy to give it to you, and I'll throw it in the chat. It's pretty cheap if you get the bottom tier. You don't even need to get the fancy one. All right. And there's some really cool products and features in there. Okay, step 3. Where do we find these agents? We're going to talk about free sources versus paid sources. Okay, let's talk about free first, because I honestly think you could spend the first year or 2 or 3 just focusing on the free sources. You don't really have to pay for agent attraction if you're implementing these. Okay, so the first one, agents that you do transactions with, start there. It's first and foremost. Every agent on the other side of a deal, you need to ask them, well, if they were nice. If they were a jerk, don't ask them. But if they were nice, say, hey, have you ever looked at eXp Realty? And if they have, great. So why aren't you here? You can laugh it off, or you can say, hey, I'd like to take you to coffee and let's dig into it. Let's look at the actual numbers. Let's look at what it really is. Okay. Start here with agents you do deals with. If you feel uncomfortable, you can make it a joke. You can be like, hey, I'm at eXp. Have you, has anybody ever talked to you about it? Oh yeah, everybody talks to me about eXp. Well, then I guess they're terrible at explaining it, because you'd be here if you really understood it. You can joke it off, whatever you want to do, whatever fits your personality, just ask in some way. Okay. The next one, of course, little unorthodox, but it does work. Any agent that shows one of your listings. Remember that we get notified when some people show our listings. What if you reached out and said, hey, how did the showing go? First of all, they would be like, why are you calling me? But then they'd be like, wow, that's really cool that you bothered to ask how the showing went. It's just a reason to reach out. Okay, any feedback for me? We didn't like the kitchen. Okay, great. Hey, by the way, totally side topic. Have you ever looked at eXp Realty? Right. So whatever works for you as far as the script on that, but that is a potential phone call that you could make. Agents you run into while doing real estate. I know that's a super broad term, but networking, events, a training, anything like that. Agents in your social media, send them a private message. Agents in your MLS, trainings, continuing education. An agent, if a for sale sign goes up near you, call them. Hey, you're selling a house 5 houses down from me. Awesome, great job. And then just ask him the question. Have you ever looked into eXp Realty? Okay. There are other ways to ask that question, but again, just start the conversation. And then of course, a free way to do it is just to go to Zillow and click on the agent search. I'll do that really quick. I want to show you how easy it is. So John Lee, pop quiz, what is a good zip code near you guys? Just give me like a zip. You're muted.
079260.
Okay. 079260. Do you not have any agents in that area? That's an interesting one. All right, give me another.
All right.
I don't know why it didn't come up. Give me one for you, Jay. You're muted.
07853.
Unless Zillow's not working right now. Or maybe I had an extra.
Okay.
Maybe.
The extra, yeah.
All right, so there's a bunch of agents right here. What's nice about this, I can see kind of their productivity, right? If I click on this agent, I have their phone number, I have their name, I have the area that they serve. How hard would it be to just start at the top of the list and just call them? You know, hey, Martine, I see that you're at Remax and you work the area, blah, blah, blah. You are a rock star. I can't believe how much real estate you've sold. You know, build them up a little bit and pose the question. Hey, Martine, have you ever looked into any other brokerage models around you? You know, no, not really. I'm just kind of focused on what I'm doing. I'm selling all real estate. Awesome. I'll tell you what, I would love to do a financial comparison to see if you could save more money by being at a different brokerage. Is that something that you might be willing to do? Right? Whatever your point of entry is, whatever you come up with that feels good for you, you just start at the top of the list and just go. It's free. It's hard, yes. But then again, so is, you know, so are buyer clients and seller clients sometimes.
Yeah, guys, can I jump in here real quick, Randy?
Yeah.
So when you're talking to agents, if you're, you know, cold calling agents or you're connecting with agents on any of the transactions you're doing, you know, one of the things I say is, you know, eXp is obviously an extremely fast growing company. It has a lot of benefits for agents. And I would say like, you know, hey, John, would you be interested in seeing what your business would look like inside the eXp model?
That's a good one.
You're basically just, you know, obviously you're just comparing. I do not go into very much depth of eXp over the phone because you kind of will confuse people and you might lose them in the conversation and they might not completely understand what you're talking about. So I always go for just seeing if there's any interest, if they're open to new information. And then when that happens, then I will either set an in-person meeting or a meeting over Zoom. 99% of the time, it's a meeting over Zoom. And the reason why I like meetings over Zoom rather than in person is because I can share my screen and actually get into the information and make sure that they're actually getting value and they truly understand the opportunity here that we're trying to present to them. Because and here's the thing too, guys, is that no way are we actually trying to sell a product. We're not. Because as soon as we're trying to come across as selling something, people are going to shut down and not listening to us. We're basically trying to educate people and keep them open-minded so they actually can see the opportunity, because this opportunity like these, I don't want to sound cliche, but they don't come along very often, right? They don't come along very often be with such a strong company, you know, extremely high revenue, no debt, and then an opportunity for people to plug their business in and really take full advantage. And who really knows where it's going to end up going, in the sense of, it, you know, it's almost, opportunity is almost endless. So there's no such thing as selling in this part of the business, in my opinion. It's just seeing who's open-minded to seeing and taking the information in. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, no, and that's good. And as you'll see, that's Jay, you skipped the presentation here. You went to like 0.5 and 6 already, but hey, that's all good stuff. And Jay's 100% correct in saying that. So step 3, where to find the agents. Again, free versus paid. I won't even go over the paid ones because yes, you can do a lot of things to get agents to come to you, but it will cost money. And there's things that you'll have to do to stay within agent attraction policy. Okay. First thing we absolutely cannot do is spam email or text a ton of agents. Okay. Hey, look at this video for eXp Realty, and you send it to 1,000 agents at one shot, you will get booted from eXp. Cannot do that. Never try to pitch eXp on the first contact. You can invite them to a meeting, like Jay was saying, get them to a Zoom, but you can't just like, flood them with information about eXp on the first one. We never talk bad about their current brokerage or any other brokerage. We don't need to. Okay. We have a good solid model here. We don't need to talk down. So on that topic, we never insult, demean, or belittle agents for any reason. Like, can't believe you decided to go to Remax. How stupid are you? Like, we would never do that, right? So we never talk bad about them. We also don't get defensive or argue. If they come back and they're very negative and like starting to argue with us, don't get into an argument with them. We never make wild income, stock, or revenue share claims. I don't usually show people 40 ever. I actually stop at 10 almost every time. And this is what it looks like every time. I do 10, 10, and then I take this off. So when I'm talking about revenue share, I'm making it very reachable, okay? So we don't make it some huge number. We never share misinformation about the company or another company or your own career. You can't say you're an icon agent if you're not an icon agent. You can't say you sell $40 million worth of real estate if you don't sell $40 million worth of real estate. So always represent yourself in a truthful manner and a company. And then, of course, never be afraid to call and have a conversation with an agent from a value add mentality. Okay, that is okay. You can do that. All right, step 4, we got to build our confidence up. Okay, so how do we do that? One quick way to do it is to read some scripts and internalize the scripts and make them fit our own personality. Okay, so Jay gave a couple of scripts just a minute ago, talking about what that first call could sound like and how that invitation could sound. But the idea is we do have some scripts that we're happy to give to you guys for that first call. What does that sound like? You can take those and edit them for your own personality and how you think they might receive that information. Okay. Now, the slow way to build up your confidence is to practice and fail a lot. That's what I did. I don't recommend it because you hear a lot of no's. I would start with something that is proven to kind of work, and then you'll handle a lot less rejection. Okay. So when it comes to some basic starting scripts, we want a couple of different scripts for the different level of agent that we're talking to. So a new licensee script versus beginning agents who've done a few deals might sound a little different. Okay. You wouldn't necessarily attack that the same. And then of course, an experienced agent or even further, a mega agent or a team leader or a broker, that's going to be a different conversation. And like Jay was mentioning, if it's a team leader, like how would your team fit into this model would be a different approach. Okay. Always asking probing questions. Like we're trying to dig into their business. How is your career? How's your year going? If they're brand new, how's your training going? Right. And then always ask why. If it's not going great, why? If it is going great, why do you think that is? What we're trying to do is pull out of them some pain points and some struggles, because then when they do tell us those things, we kind of know what eXp offers and we can address those issues with something that eXp can solve that problem with. Okay. Are you on track to meet your goals? If you could build your perfect brokerage, what would it look like? I like asking this question. It works. People tell you exactly what they're looking for. It just depends on how experienced they are. If they're brand new, they don't even know. So that's going to be a different conversation. And then of course, would you be open to see what eXp has to offer? And then we get to the Zoom call or in person if you can. All right, step 5. You got to actually get your jersey dirty if you're in the game. So we're going to have to make the call. And Sometimes it's cold and sometimes it's warm. If they know you and they know your name, maybe you guys just did a deal, you still have to pick the phone and call them. Hey, John, we just did that deal over on Main Street. Went well. Thanks for hanging in there and making it happen. Appreciate you. And then connect. Make the commitment to connect and start the conversation. Okay. The biggest mistake people make in agent attraction is thinking that people will just come to them. They might sometime, but it's not the normal. If you have an amazing Instagram like Matt Clemente on the call, they might pick up the phone and call you. Can't believe you sold $27 million worth of property last year. How'd you do it? They might pick up the phone and call you, but you can't rely on that for your business and for your future of agent attraction. So your efforts is going to have to be some outbound before worrying about the inbound. So we know the difference here. So outbound, we're reaching out. Inbound, they're calling us. So commit to some outbound calls, okay? You're not at a call center. It's not just dials all day. But what would it look like to call 5 realtors in one day? And 3 of them pick up the phone. And you have a quick conversation. Again, we're not explaining eXp on this phone call. We're just trying to get to an appointment where we can sit down and explain eXp. Okay. So again, just like trying to call for listings, it takes commitment and it takes effort and discipline. Same thing with this, except this pays off for a very long period of time. Okay. Now you might want to track your goals and track your habits. I have a newer version of this, but it's basically a habits tracker. How can you figure out your conversion rate if you don't talk? And write it down. You got to write it down. So if I talk to 5 people, I put a 5. If 3 of them agreed to a Zoom, I put a 3, so on and so on. And I track my efforts. And maybe it's just once a week, and that's fine. It's easy to track. Maybe it's every day of the week for 1 hour a day. Okay, whatever it is, track your efforts. That way you can kind of look back and say, my conversion ratio is 2%. Out of all the phone numbers I've called, 2% closed. Now I have some numbers to start from. So if 2 out of 100 came over, what if I call 200? What if I call 1,000? And now you can start getting an idea of what to expect. But you can't do that until you get a conversion ratio. Okay. All right. So we've got a template. Happy to give that as well. All right. Appointments. Oops. Now that you've set the appointment, and this is going along right with what Jay said. Okay. In-person appointments have the highest conversion ratio as long as you're not awkward in person. I have to say that because if that's really uncomfortable for you, it might not be the best. Okay. But if you're easygoing and it's easy to sit down and have a cup of coffee with somebody, then yes, in-person meeting might be the best. All right. 90% of the time, like Jay said, it's going to be a Zoom call. You want to share screens and you want to be able to walk somebody through the process of and the model of eXp. All right. A couple of things you're going to want to look for. Reschedule it if they are driving or not paying attention and they're like walking and taking a jog in the middle of your Zoom. Okay, that's actually happened to me. Oh, I'm in the middle of a jog and I'm like, so you're not at a computer? No, I'm on the phone. Okay, let's reschedule. Right, that's not going to work. You can't learn like that, and you're wasting your time and my time if we're doing that. So Zooms are very efficient. There's less opposition from agents to jump on a Zoom. You can send reminders, lots of reminders, and text. You can call them if they're late to the Zoom and try to get them to jump on the Zoom. And then don't use a green screen or some sort of fake background. I recommend just use your office background. And that might mean cleaning it up. And the only reason I say that is because we don't want to seem like there's anything to hide. And sometimes, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, I feel like a green screen is like maybe you're not trying to hide anything, but let's just not even plant that in their mind that there is something to hide. So if you have a really messy office, clean it up. Get yourself a background that looks okay. I intentionally put a couple of guitars on the wall. It actually has started some conversations with people. And that works for me. Okay. Whatever works for you. Like Jay looks like a librarian. He's got 50,000 books. I like it. It looks like he's really smart.
They're all fake. They're all fake books, and it's a fake bookshelf.
It's just a cover. I like it. And when you open the book, snacks fall out. All right. So we don't do Zooms on the phone. If they're on the phone and they're trying to learn about eXp Realty, it's just really tough. Again, unless they just have no laptop computer, you try to get them on a laptop. All right. So we're not trying to explain eXp over the phone call. We're always trying to get it to a face-to-face when we're explaining it, and Zoom counts for that. Avoid talking about yourself as much as possible, and make it about their business and ask questions about them. Okay, so the appointment should be about them, not about you. Okay, so now that we're on the Zoom, what now? Obviously, it depends on their experience. If they have no experience, and if you can't really explain eXp, you could watch a video with them. It's not the recommended or preferred, but it will work in a pinch if you need to just show a video and say, hey, let's watch this video together. Okay. I think that the best case scenario is that you get somebody who can explain onto the Zoom to explain it with you or for you. Okay. If they do have experience, use the presentation slide deck and walk through the slides. If you have more experience and you're really comfortable doing this, do what's called a needs-based analysis. That's finding out their needs and then explaining eXp just to those needs. That will work the best. Okay, step 8, we're almost there, guys. Step 8, third-party validation. We're gonna make a connection with our sponsor or somebody who knows how to explain eXp if we're a little bit shaky on explaining it, okay? This will help because now the third party is also on the Zoom and might think about things a little bit differently than you. I actually really like pulling Jay and Matt on a Zoom for third party because, and Jay has said this before, Jay is staring at the person and their reaction and their body language while I'm explaining something. And he's trying to read them, and then he'll jump in if he feels like there might be a lack of engagement or they're fidgeting or something's going different. And so we can kind of bounce back and forth and explain it based on how they're responding. And so if you want a third-party validation, Jay, Matt, myself, John, we will jump on a Zoom with you to help you, okay? Now, if it's in Korean and I can't speak Korean, I can't help you. But if they can speak English, we're good. I can do it, okay? Okay, and I can't speak anything else. Unfortunately, I need to learn, but yeah. So this text on the right-hand side is a good example of how to connect somebody that you're talking to with your sponsor, okay? So essentially, it's basically like, I would love to connect you with somebody that helped me in my business go from here to here, whatever that number is, this past year. Incredible person. They're super productive. They're a rock star. Would you be offended if I connect you with them? Great. Let me start the text. Now, in the text, you're going to want to include something about the prospect, what brokers they're at, how much production, where they are. That way, when the sponsor jumps in and tries to set up the Zoom call with them, they have some information and it's not just totally, random. They know what's going on. Okay. All right. Follow-up is where the gold is. You've all heard the saying, maybe you haven't, but fortune is in the follow-up. Without a follow-up process, you are relying on your memory. And if your memory is as bad as mine, you will not remember all those conversations. You will not remember the last time you talked to them. So you've got to have a database of some kind, and you've got to follow up with people. It may take months or even years for people to decide to make the move. Okay, that's happened to me before. I worked on a KW franchise owner for over a year before she made the move. and she brought her agents and it was all fine after that, but it took a whole year. That's patience and follow-up. Okay, was it worth it in the long run? Yes, absolutely. Okay, follow-up planning tips, make it appropriate for the person. No one size fits all approach. So you'd have different plans based on where they are in those conversations. You may need multiple drip campaigns, and that's where CRM Grow, I think, is helpful because there's automations and drips that you can create for that. All right, stay in your CRM Grow or CRM that you're choosing, because just like when you're doing buyers and sellers, you have to check what their engagement is. If they're texting back, emailing, responding, looking at homes, same thing. You have to be engaged in your CRM once a day, twice a day, 3 times a day, whatever it is for you, you got to get in. When somebody re-engages and they're engaging with an automation, you have to stop it. Otherwise, they're going to get an awkward next text that's out of context, right? So just pay attention to what's going on.
Right on Broadway.
We're always trying to get to an appointment with them. So if they re-engage, great, let's jump on a Zoom, okay? And then, of course, be patient with people. Don't allow yourself to get frustrated or impatient. Remember, it's their business on the line, and it's their time frame. Any big announcements, real estate news, invite them to masterminds, add value. That's a great way to follow up with people, okay?
Right on Broadway.
All right, let me just go ahead and mute Esther's. Sorry, Esther. That's some background noise there. All right, step 10, we're almost there, guys. You did it, they're joining, now what? The process does not stop when they complete the join application, okay? Now, I have recorded a video on my YouTube channel. It does a full application walkthrough. It takes 17 minutes, it's click for click, slide by slide, what they're seeing on their screen. From there is this next video, it's 30 minutes, getting started here at eXp Realty. If they wanna watch the video, it's 30 minutes, there you go. If they wanna come to a live getting started class, it's every Tuesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time on the same Zoom link. And that's every single week. Okay, I try to bring good energy, we do Q&A, and that will help people get started in the right way. And it's not just getting your tools set up, it's also what are the essential trainings for the 30, 60, 90 days in that first month or two when they're here. And I'm gonna outline that for them, and I'll give them a checklist, making their transition a lot smoother, okay? And some of you guys have actually been to that before, so hopefully that helped you. All right, and then a bonus is do a video with somebody after they join, announce their new brokerage, why they decided to make the move, and help them to not be a secret agent. Tell the world, right? All right, so that is step 10. After step 10, it's kind of reflect on yourself and continually improve your agent attraction, okay? Improve your system, your processes, maybe some of the scripts, communication skills, emotional skills. Those are huge. I'm not super in touch with my emotional skills. I've read a lot of books recently on how to improve that. But again, being able to read body language, read facial expressions, that all has to go with emotional skills too, okay? Presentation skills. We're trying to always create a better way for us to do this that's easier. And as we get better at it, we continue to reflect on this is working or this is not working, And then of course, emulate your sponsor if they're great at it, or emulate somebody if they're great at it, which means do what they do. Speak how they speak, have the energy. Now, I'm not saying don't be yourself, but if somebody's doing a great job, there are things you can definitely pick up. Okay, bonus tip. I have what's called Frontline Friday. So anybody that named me as a sponsor, I try to call them once every Friday or text them once every Friday, unless their name is Matthew, which I feel like we talk 6 days a week now. But if they're in the front line, I want to stay connected with them in some way. And Jay does a great job at this too, and it's not just Fridays, it's just whenever, but whatever your day is, try to stay connected with people for their whole career, not just thanks for coming to eXp, see you later. That's not going to sustain retention and stuff like that. All right, that's pretty much it for agent attraction. Let's do some Q&A. So right now, you guys, we have a few minutes. If you'll open up your microphones and just ask me any questions that you guys might have. And Jay and Matt are on here too, and they're very good at agent attraction.
Any questions, guys?
So Randy,
Yes.
so you connect with the agent and you do Zoom call and they were impressed and all of a sudden they disappear.
What was your
What do
follow?
you, well, just texting them, and calling them, but no response. Then what will be the next step?
So they're
Right.
completely ghosting you. They will not answer a call. They will not answer a text. They will not answer an email. You've tried all those different ways. All right, try another text that said, "Hey, how are you?" And don't talk about eXp at all. Okay, just
Yeah.
really short to the point, something to try to cut through a salesy approach.
Mhm.
But really all you can do is set them up on a nurture plan of once a week, twice a week, and just keep trying. If they don't want to make the move, you don't want to drag them into it.
Mhm.
Mhm. So-
Stay connected the best you can.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yeah, you don't have to ask. Just go for it.
All right. I'll put my hand up. Can you call on me, Randy? Call on me. All right, guys. So for instance, to try to avoid situations like that, the best way is preparation and prevention. So the scenario that goes with revenue share, it goes like this. It goes phone call. There's the first contact, goes phone call. I spike interest to see if there's interest. I set the Zoom on the phone while I'm on the phone with them. Say, hey, does Thursday at 10 o'clock work for you? Perfect. I'm going to send you a calendar invite. I send that person the calendar invite. We jump on the Zoom. We go through the entire Zoom. Do not send them any information about eXp until after the Zoom. Okay. Because they're not really going to understand what they're looking at. Really. They're not going to understand everything about eXp and all the ins and outs of it. So you're going to jump on a Zoom. You're going to go through everything with eXp has to offer. At the end of the Zoom call, you were going to say, well, actually in the beginning of the Zoom call, you're going to say, listen, we're going to have an open conversation. You can ask me any questions you guys have about eXp. I want to be an open book and extremely transparent with you because I want you guys to get as much out of this as possible. And then I also say in the beginning of the call is that everything I'm going to go over with you today, I'm going to send an email after we get off the call so you guys can review everything. I want you to review everything. And then what we'll do is we'll jump on another call because I'm sure you're going to have questions after you look at the email I'm going to send you. So I get on the Zoom call. I'm having the conversation. We go through everything. I answer any questions that they have. At the end of the call, I will remind them that I'm going to send an email with eXp information. And then I'll say, when would be a good time for us to jump on another Zoom to go over and so I can answer any questions that you might have. On the end of that Zoom, try to set the next Zoom. Hey, if I'm meeting with them on a Thursday, I'm going to set the Zoom up probably for a Monday or Tuesday that next week. And I will be on the call and I will say, hey, what is Monday at 1 o'clock look like for you for us to reconnect and we can go into, I can answer any of your questions. They'll say, yes, perfect. I will send the email with the eXp information, and then I'll send another calendar invite for the meeting that's going to take place on Monday. And that's that follow-up. Whether or not they cancel, that's out of your control with that. If they show up, they don't show up, but I want to make sure that every question gets answered and they make sure if they decide not to come to eXp, I really want to make sure they know exactly what they're saying no to. Because that's the problem. Majority of agents don't even know what they're saying no to because they don't understand everything that eXp has to offer. So that's the process I go through and is the process that I have seen the best return. Because if I talk to somebody and I just send the email out of all the information, I just dump a ton of information on them. One, they're busy. They're not going to open the email. They're not going to take the time to read through everything. And two, and three, they're not going to completely understand everything. So phone call, Zoom meeting, set second Zoom meeting, send information, answer any questions on this on the second Zoom meeting. So that is my timeline. That's my process. That's how I've operated right now. And it's kind of like a trial and error of how, but that is the best rate of return I have seen on agent attraction. So that was my 2 cents.
And I will send a video after we've gone over our first explained, just to kind of fill in those gaps. So, and you can do that in CRM Grow because the video is in there if you want to use that. Good question. What else?
Yes. Hey, Randy and Jay, thank you for the presentation. One of the best features for eXp for me, it's since it does not have a physical location, it gives agents a greater split on the commission side compared to other real estate firms. But what if I actually encounter someone, they actually want to pull me to their firm because whatever they claim eXp can offer, they can offer too on the commission side. So what should we explain to people like that?
Can I answer that?
Yeah.
So great question. I encounter this all the time. And the thing is too, is like, a commission split is only one aspect of eXp, right? We all know that there's 100% brokerages out there, right? Like you can go there, you can go to a 100% brokerage, but they don't offer stock options. They don't offer revenue share. And they also don't, sometimes majority of the time, they don't offer a CRM. So all these little things add up. You have to look at the big picture. There's so many more things involved instead of one aspect of a real estate transaction or a real estate business. So if someone comes to me and it's just about commission splits, then I'll ask them, okay, what is your retirement plan? What are you looking to do? Are you looking to build a team? Then having your team come and plug into the eXp model so you can collect a referral and also revenue share. That's going to be more lucrative and more beneficial for you long-term than it would be just for a better commission split or stock options. So, and that's the thing is like, eXp has so many more opportunities to offer than, because there are brokerages out there that are trying to match eXp, right, in commission splits. But even if today, if someone came to me and said, Jay, I would match you in commission splits, I'd be like, okay, well, do you have stock options? Do you have revenue share? Are you with an established company that has a foundation that's been around for 11 years? It's last year was a $3.8 billion in revenue. And last year it had, a 72% growth. So, and that's the thing is like, not only is the model good, is that the company that is behind the model has a great foundation for growth because they're not operating in debt either. So, but yeah, there's going to be little aspects of different brokerages, but it's a big picture model than just one aspect of it. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else?
I mean, I recently watched the agent attraction class,
Mhm.
but a lot of like successful people talking about mastermind.
Yeah.
Do you have like what's really what is that like mastermind? Like, do you have a class like that or?
So, I mean, Randy, you can talk on this too. So, I mean, honestly, us having a conversation right now about, this is kind of like a mastermind. Randy, myself, Matt, John, we are sharing what has worked for us.
Yep.
And
Okay.
also, and the systems and processes that have worked. I mean, I know some of the top guys out there who are making $30,000 to $50,000 a month in revenue share, that their strategy is basically make a phone call, get the person on a Zoom, and then sit on the Zoom and play a video for them. I don't do that. And I don't like that because every single agent that I talk to, one has a different business, has different team. Like I need to figure out, and that's why I said earlier on the call is understanding EXP and figuring out how an individual agent can fit into the model, or an agent with a team can fit best into the model. What's going to be best for that agent? So, but yeah, I would say like a mastermind is us, you know, and honestly, we could do this.
I mean, like, are we going to have mastermind class occasionally, or do we have any plan like that, or? Yes.
Hey, correct me if I'm wrong, Randy. Isn't there any mastermind class going on within EXP or not?
All
No.
the time. There's tons of masterminds. I think that the difference though between if we have our own mastermind, it's our network and it's us talking about what's working for us.
Mm.
You can absolutely join a different mastermind and pull out good information. I would say that the key to any good mastermind is that they let other people talk. So like the first part of this, I'd say the majority of this was a training with some Q&A mastermind at the end where we let people talk, we ask questions and all that. A really good, just pure mastermind doesn't include a training. It's just, all right, let's open this up for discussion. Here's the main topic we're going to talk about. Who has ideas? And let's hear from everybody. Mastermind literally means everybody has input. What's working for you? What's working for you? And when other people ask questions, you might have had that question too. Oh yeah, that's a good question. I didn't even think to ask that. And so a mastermind should be a full conversation of everybody inputting their value.
So Randy, if I can jump in, every Wednesday, Eastern time at noon, I believe Sean Kokoska is doing open icon coaching, agent attraction, and open mastermind. I've been to that meeting twice or three times. Some valuable information, they share, exchange in their ideas and thought. What do you think about the mastermind?
I've been a few times. A lot of it is just Sean talking and selling his coaching.
That too, at the end.
So, I mean, if you want to go for a pitch every time, then go for it. I would rather us have our own mastermind that we just want, once a month, twice a month for an hour. We get on and we talk about what's working, what's not working. About anything. Could be production, agent attraction, getting more listings, dealing with crazy buyers, whatever. The idea of a mastermind is that we all contribute.
Okay.
So can we invite, I mean, under you, I think we have, I don't know how many agents, 40, 80?
153 agents under me.
Okay, so if we can start maybe, I don't know, maybe every other week.
We could do a New Jersey, New York mastermind.
I love to get everybody's involved and get all the feedback from over 100 agents.
Yeah.
Right.
The sad truth though is that just like there was a lot more people invited to this,
Yeah.
they won't all come. We know that, right?
Yeah.
Realtors are busy, they've got their life, and they decide what is a priority for them.
Mm.
So even if we invite all 153, it might still only be this size.
Okay.
But I mean, we definitely can get something on the calendar to mastermind.
Yeah, I would love to join.